All right, big story from over the weekend was this Lorenzo Fertitta buying TNA rumor. And so, we're not even going to really reference that necessarily, but just the idea of WWE being in business with TNA as a way to combat AEW television, because that's really what the rumor is getting TNA on a station and competing head to head with AEW Dynamite. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this scenario? Because history will tell us that it hasn't been really successful to throw your C brand at an A brand necessarily.
No, and in this case, it might be the D brand. I think it would depend on the station. If it was anything like if it was an A&E, as I've seen speculated, I
wouldn't even take the deal if it was
no,
A&E,
that they would die on A&E. Because the LFG right now, like I don't know if I know you're not watching it. It's basically just a wrestling show now. Like they just have 4 matches in an hour. Like there's very little of the, like the coaches stuff and everything. It's just matches and that thing's dying. You got Evolve on Tubi. Nobody's watching that. So, this, like, it would have to be on like a USA Network or FS1. And I don't think either of those stations are looking for wrestling right now.
CW.
CW would be interesting because they could use NXT the night before to promote it, and they could go back and forth like they're doing now. So I think that would be probably the most likely destination for them. Going up against Dynamite, I think it would put a hit on Dynamite. I don't know how much. I think Dynamite would still win, but I do think the Dynamite audience would go down.
Here's the thing, and here's what I've been saying, which is because people want to circle back and go, last time they went head up with NXT, look what happened. And I was like, yep, you're right. It's really about how much WWE wants to incorporate their main roster talent, because if you go back in time, WWE is X amount more popular than they were back when they went head to head the first time. So, like, let's say if you want to use a Cody Rhodes as on a TNA segment to see how many people would go today, more people would tune in than the previous time they went head to head. So that's kind of the little bit of outlier.
Yeah, and you're most likely you're going to get like AJ.
Well, no, I mean, I think they would use. They may not use Cody in a program. But if you're just wanting, let's say AEW, let's say Dynamite the week before says, oh, we're going to have a world title match on our show. WWE would go, okay, well, now we got to use Cody, or we got to use Punk, or we got to use somebody like that, right? It's this total week to week thing. But yeah, you wouldn't use those guys in a program. You would use AJ in a program for sure.
See, the problem is, and we talked about this in the Discord, and I agree with the point I think you were trying to make, is that if they do that, let's say they hear, okay, John Moxley is going to be facing Hangman for the world title. So WWE decides, okay, we're going to put Cody and Punk on TNA, and then they get killed.
They wouldn't get killed, though.
On TNA? They might.
Yeah, I don't think they would get killed. They might lose. They might lose the demo.
The thing is, if they showed up in NXT, I think it would have a better option of succeeding. Because I think that the name TNA itself is a negative. And I think no matter what, like if it was a WWE show on Wednesday, it's going to do better than a WWE-owned TNA. Like, I think that name TNA is, like, there's people that just will not watch it.
Global force, baby.
Yeah. Like and Impact Wrestling has unfortunately the same thing. Like it would almost have to be a rebranded WWE show.
Just call it WWE TNA.
Yeah, but that's,
put those 3 letters at the front.
Yeah, it's the 3 letters at the back that's the problem. I don't like I'm just speculating because we don't know till it happens, but I watch TNA and okay, so right now like TNA and NXT have a lot of the same people on both shows. it looks different when you're watching TNA. Like it just, they're in smaller buildings. Actually, they're not in smaller buildings, but it's produced. Now it may be different if WWE is producing it. So that may make a difference as well, because TNA, like their production is fine, but it's studio wrestling versus like, even though TNA or even though NXT is filmed in a studio, like it's just like that crowd is so lively and it's just got the WWE magic behind everything.
I still hate it.
Well, yeah, because the backstage stuff is so garbage.
Well, even the crowd stuff, I don't like seeing the same crowd react to the same stuff every single time.
Fair enough.
In the same way.
I get that.
It's not all the same people, but it's pretty clearly a lot.
I'd rather see that than, you know, these half-empty
for sure,
100% that TNA does.
100%.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, and then they do have, like, TNA has this same guy in the same seat, no matter where they are. Have you seen this guy? Like, he's like,
no,
so
I've not seen.
I'm sure Mike Gilbert knows him, but yeah, he sits in the exact same seat. I met him when I went to the Orlando taping.
I wonder if TNA underneath the WWE umbrella would get Mike Gilbert back to the podcasting studio.
Well, I think he'll get back at some point anyways, but I think he'd do it just for the chaos, you know, Mike. Yeah. But yeah, I do like, I think it's going to happen. And I if I had to put money on it, I would bet it's going to be CW. And the funny thing is I said CW like a year ago. And because it just makes so much sense to have the 2 nights in a row, and CW has to be happy with the numbers that NXT is doing. Like, people talk about AEW and they are showing growth right now, like year-over-year growth, like without Max. So, but NXT is as well, and hardly anybody talks about that. So, you know,
so I don't think WWE TNA would beat AEW head to head, but I do. And I don't, and that's part of it. You want to beat it, but the other part of it is you want to make them less valuable to the cable ecosystem. Because, like, for instance, let's say this whole WBD Discovery thing. Let's say that the side that AEW sits on is sold. Then, you know, whatever. Unless we probably think WBD still owns a small piece, but whatever shakes out, there's just not as much security for Tony Khan, and he would be out there kind of like, you know, in a same market where you have a bunch of these different media companies, tech companies, sports companies, you know, looking to vie for your services. But if WWE goes to the table with those same people and they go, we get the same ratings and we're cheaper, thus, you know, why are you going to work with them? Like, there's going to be some of that stuff going on. But I believe that AEW would be able to withstand and still win those weeks for the most part. But it's less. I think it's less about that, and it's more about diminishing their value to the market. But at the same time, every time we think that the market is like the whole bubble's going to pop, it doesn't. So maybe they could get more value out of just the idea that you know, that they even in doing maybe a little bit lesser ratings, they're still going to be valuable because cable sucks right now for ratings. So who knows?
Yeah, and it also could be, and I think Jason is the one that brought this up in the Discord, that it could be about positioning AEW not as a competitor to WWE, SmackDown, and Raw, but as a competitor to NXT and TNA, which immediately puts them on a lower tier. So now instead of competing against the NFL, you're competing against the UFL. You know, like so you're saying, yeah, you can have wrestling. You know, there's a lot of, there's Ring of Honor, there's TNA, there's NXT, there's AEW, or you can have the premier WWE. You know what I mean? Like, so there could be some of that involved as well. I don't know if the broadcasting companies are going to fall for that, but it may be part of the strategy.